A hearty greetings to all the listeners. Recently, on October 17th, we celebrated the International Day for the Eradication of Poverty. No doubt, there are several national, international plans and policies, strategies, and reforms to combat poverty, but still, there exists poverty in several forms. Have we ever thought why, after so many years of several attempts by various authorities, we are still prevailing with poverty? Yes, we can say that poverty is reduced statistically, but there still exist the poor and the poverty. So, with relevance to the goal 1, no poverty, of Sustainable Development Goal 2030, I will be discussing about who are the poor, why the poor are poor, some of the hidden forces that shape the poor and the poverty, and will highlight some out of box definitions, causes, and measures towards defining and ending poverty. We all know no poverty is the first goal of Sustainable Development Goal 2030. Ending poverty in all its forms is the objective of Sustainable Development Goal 2030. But here I would emphasize that if we really want to end poverty, we need to unfold several causes of poverty which are still out of the scope in the poverty eradication revolution. Today, in this talk of mine, I may sound a bit straight and commenting, but whatever I will share today are some of the hard realities of poverty. Before I start with poor, poverty, no poverty, and sustainable development goals, let us first know something about Sustainable Development Goal. From now, we shall denote it as SDG. What is the need of SDG and how poverty is explained by United Nations SDG 2030? The Millennium Development Goal 2015 is renamed as Sustainable Development Goal 2030. The Sustainable Development Goals SDGs, also known as the Global Goals, were adopted by all United Nations member states in 2015 as a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that all people enjoy peace and prosperity by 2030. The Sustainable Development Goals or the Global Goals are a collection of 17 interlinked goals designed to be a blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all. According to SDG 2030, poverty is more than just the lack of income or access to resources. It manifests itself in diminished opportunities for education, social discrimination, and the inability to participate in decision making process. Currently, poverty is measured as people living on less than 1.25 US dollars a day. So now my question to all is whether with this perspective of defining and measuring poverty, can we reduce or eradicate poverty in all its forms? From here onwards, I shall attempt changing everyone's lenses of observing poverty. There are several approaches and methods to define and measure poverty. Some known among them are the money metric approach, capability approach, social exclusion approach, multidimensional approach. Traditionally, and still in many circles, poverty is understood through material progress measured by income. Poverty is measured by counting the number of people living under an arbitrary poverty line. The literature on poverty therefore emerged strongly from the economics discipline and as a result has its classical underpinnings in an economics oriented fashion whereby income, expenditure, consumption plays an important role in defining, measuring and eradicating poverty. Based on this approach, individuals and households are said to be poor if their income or consumption falls below a certain threshold. However, this explanation lacks rigor because a variety of factors that affect income and expenditure have not been adequately dealt with. There is hardly any discussion on the source of income, whether it is a permanent or seasonal, or ethical or unethical source of income. The source of income, in fact, has notable impact on recording, defining, and measuring poverty. Again, when the approaches talk about expenditure, they fall short to explain the mode of expenditure. The expenditure may be made on eatables like grains, vegetable, milk, fruits, etc. etc. It may be made on medicines or on alcohol, drugs, tobacco, etc. Expenditure may be made on needs like books for children, cooking fuel, electricity, and many, or on certain unnecessary items, means the demand of which can be adjusted with the income, like sophisticated electronic gadgets, ornaments, etc. Thus, segregation of expenditure needs to be interpreted while defining and evaluating poverty. A broader definition of poverty somewhere lack in defining poverty. Defining poverty ignores other three types of poverty like inherited poverty, acquired poverty, and forced poverty. Basically, in India, where poverty estimates are different for the same year by two different committees like the Lakadwala Committee and the Tendulkar Committee. The Lakadwala Committee reported that in India, poor are 27.5% and the Tendulkar Committee reported that in India the poor are 37.2% for the same year, that is for the year 2005. In this context, something different out of the income, expenditure and consumption criteria must be employed where the poor can also actively participate in eradicating poverty. In comprehending and reducing poverty, there are 2 points which are important but very often overlooked. One is the perceptions and priorities of the individuals who characterize poverty, like the non poor, urban based mass, and the numerate proficient. The other is the perceptions and priorities of the poor themselves. But neither has got much consideration. If we review the poverty literature thoroughly, we can find places for income, consumption, expenditure, health, education, capabilities, and several other dimensions of poverty. But we can find no hint of human behavior, perception of the poor, attitudes of the poor and others towards poverty reduction. Economic crisis or poverty is always not income crisis, but very often an attitudinal crisis that creates poor and poverty but is overlooked. Talking about sustainable development and no poverty goal, there are several targets and indicators to end poverty in all its forms. Neither of the targets nor the indicators has included any psychological aspect of poverty. When poverty is created or is carried from one generation to other, it starts from an individual. Creating poverty and ending poverty is initially an individual initiative. An individual is guided by several factors, and one among them can be his or her attitude, behavior, and perception. So, in the process of evaluating poverty, we need to talk about the individual and his or her orientation, interest, capacity, and capability to end poverty. The strategies designed to reduce poverty need to first identify the nature of poverty and the priority need of poor people. Poor people need to be adequately consulted because Their rich experiences of poverty can be useful for developing appropriate policies that would reduce poverty and prevent people from falling into a cycle of poverty. The poor may be poor not just due to lack of money, food, shelter, healthcare, or education. A poor may be poor due to lack of ability, lack of skill, laziness, loose morals, economic injustice, bad fate, or even the God itself. For this, we need to know how the poor perceive themselves and their poverty. Then we can act upon. But somewhere or other, these basic requirements are lacking. So, at this point, I really wonder how poverty could be ended by 2030. Now, I would like to put a question. Actually, who are the poor? Who really are the poor for whom we are vigorously trying to end poverty? The maid working at our home, the driver driving us to our office, the gardener working at our garden, or even the people living in slums, or the beggars begging outside any temple or railway stations. Who really are the poor? Do they really think themselves as poor? Or we who want to protect our agenda want to name them as poor? Create a huge platform for discussions and work upon to end their poverty. If ending poverty really matters, not only nationally but globally, we need to focus on the roots rather than focusing on the fruits. This is really a point to note. From this, we certainly need to know why poor are poor. But before that, I would like to quote what Bill Gates rightly said. He said, "If you are born poor, it's not your mistake, but if you die poor, it's your mistake." Probably at the end of this talk, the golden lines of Bill Gates may be justified. Very often, in the process of gathering facts and accounting figures, we fail to capture the real picture. In the process of scientific analysis of a phenomenon and finding a reliable result, we often overlook our experiences with the problems, the predictors and the accelerators of the problems, and the experiences and perceptions of the subject too. During the course of my research work, I met with several poor people that forced me to conceptualize poverty in a different way, and I think should be taken under consideration in the evaluation of poverty. During my research work, I met Kalpana Biswal. Obviously, the name is changed. A resident of Nutan Basti of Raurkela who lives with her husband and two sons, one of 6 years and the other one of 3 years old, respectively. Kalpana works as a maid and her husband as a daily gardener. They manage to earn approximately 5,000 rupees per month. They live in a single room house with very poor ventilation. It is very hard on their part to do with the minimum income. When she was asked why doesn't her husband go for a better work, or will he go for a high paying job if he gets an opportunity to do so, her answer to the question was no. She said, once some people from Raurkela steel plant, came and asked my husband to work in the plant. His entry pass was prepared. The salary was also very good, but he denied working for such a long time, that is for 8 hours at a stretch. He will rather prefer leisure than work. He will remain at home sitting idle and watching TV, but will not do extra work to earn more. When she was asked about the reason behind this type of attitude of her husband, she replied, "Although it is hard to manage with the mere income, still it is okay for us. Why to waste more time on extra income? can we change our fate? Poverty is written in our fate and God has given approval to it. What is fated can never be blotted. From this, it can be inferred that working hard and getting out of poverty is waste of time for the poor. This is just one case. There are many such cases, and probably we too have come across such instances when poverty is beyond the prescribed boundaries. It is also observed that there are many poor families with a very low income, a poor standard of living, and even termed as poor according to statistics, even unable to send their children to school and opt for their education, but would prefer to pay for the cable TV connection, a smart mobile phone with an internet pack, all time using the data pack for watching YouTube, etc. And even we must have observed the youths from poor family background riding high end bikes and other gadgets. In this case, we can say that the poor do not actively seek to get out of poverty. So, can any SDG end poverty in all its forms? When our India government as well as the worldwide governments are assuring that they are helping the poor to get out of poverty, let me raise one question, that the government benefits for the poor, maybe subsidized grains and other materials, many freebies, and even money through direct cash transfer, is really curing the poor and their poverty. Let me tell you about Kishore. I met him during my research work. After hearing to Kishore, you can get the answer why poor are poor and why poor makes poverty a choice. Kishore is a 35 years old man who does no work. When I inquired about how he could manage his family of 5 members, his wife and 3 children, to that he gave an interesting answer. What he said? He said, government is providing food for 5 rupees. Every day we would go to the Ahar Kendra. Ahar Kendra is a place where cooked food is served to the poor, and there he would get rice and dalma, means vegetable dal, for 5 rupees. Then he said, and if you ask me from where I get these 5 rupees, then I too have a solution for that. What we do, we get some extra meals and sell to the nearby shopkeeper for their lunch at rupees 10. And if any day we want to have some extra item or non-veg or say some extra money, then an old man used to sit in front of the kendra selling fried fish and pickles for rupees 5, and I buy the whole non-veg meal at rupees 10, and if required sell this non-veg meal packet to the shopkeepers at 20 rupees. Straight 10 rupees profit. So now you tell, if we are getting money and food both, then why to work? Life is to enjoy. He also added, this is only about Ahar and Ahar Kendras. There are many in the slum who are selling the rice, wheat, kerosene and sugar to others at a higher rate, which we poor are getting from the government at a subsidized rate. We are getting rice for rupee 1. We are selling that rice either to the retailer or to the restaurants at a hiked price. With this we make our life and enjoy some leisure. There is no need to do work on a regular basis and for a prolonged period of time each day. These are the ground realities of poverty. If the weapons provided to fight poverty makes poverty more comfortable, then how can we escape from poverty? During the time of election, free distribution of mobile phones, easy and free access to food and other freebies will not reduce poverty but will make it chronic. Freebies apart, if the poor are themselves not serious about poverty and how to reduce it, poverty can never be reduced. Both individual and structural causes contribute to poverty. However, when only a part of the situational causes are addressed by the government, making poverty more comfortable for the poor, the individual causes of poverty are strengthened, thus making the cycle of poverty run through generations. One must address the individual causes of poverty in order to act upon the poor and the poverty. There are many such cases to prove that poverty is not merely an economic crisis but attitudinal fallacies. The culture of the poor, asset of the poor, and comfort of the poor, and even the choice of the poor. So, poverty cannot be reduced until these issues are addressed. The attitude of the poor shapes their lives and also the poverty. In this context, no government policies, beneficiaries, or even God Himself can do anything to help the poor getting out of poverty and ending poverty. So now exercise your mind. Think what poverty is and how to understand it. Okay, what is our effort or our actions to end poverty? One can say there are many. Just halt. During these corona days and during days of lockdown, we all must have missed our domestic helps, isn't it? The employers and the labor market missed the cheap labor. Can the rich people even think their days without the economically backward section or even the poor people? The poor are the need of the society. The poor are the food of the rich. Creation of poverty instead of reduction is much beneficial for the rich. And it is the rich or the elites sitting in the air conditioned rooms formulating the poverty eradication policies. So, you say how to end poverty in all its forms from everywhere. What we are seriously doing to end poverty, basically in Indian context, smart people are making smart ways to fool the poor. Freebies and subsidies are just the lollipops given not to end poverty but to protect and create the vote banks. The number of slums and the rate of increase in slums hint us how vote banks are created always for the next election to come. As such, we cannot put all the blame on the poor alone, as they lack education and many of the psychological resources. Even if they try hard to come out of the poverty wave, their repertoire of resources become useless. They are pushed into the waves of poverty and are very often forced to stay as poor through organized and systematic ways of the governments and their machineries. There are planned strategies to secure poor and the poverty to make them the scapegoat for some vested interests and during emergency. When poor have no job to earn, they are given with free food. When poor do not want to work, they are provided with unemployment doles. When poor do not want to break the slum culture, their slums are made legalized. When the poor sell their subsidized items at a higher price to consume alcohol and others, they are distributed with free mobile phones and a SIM inside it. When poor do not believe in education, they are provided with reservation. When poor do not emphasize on getting out of poverty, they are given with a BPL card. Another thing we Indians are doing to end poverty is making more houses for God and goddesses. What I mean is making of so-called temples, masjids, churches and gurudwaras for gods. For making a school, a hospital, appointment of teachers and doctors, we require to raise funds. But Wasting money for so called homes for God, we require no time even. To end poverty, some people are waiting and assuring others to wait too for the Rama Rajya to come. Amidst the poor, poverty and poverty reduction strategies, one good news is that number of people living in extreme poverty has declined more than half since 1990. What record says. How would you like to comment on this statement? What I can comment is that poverty has reduced statistically but not actually. We invariably rely on data and end with manipulating the data as per our wish. The authenticity of data which is used to formulate plans and policies are never questioned. This is why for the same year, that is for the year 2005, two different committees, Lakadwala committee and Tendulkar committee, produced two different statistics as stated earlier. Till now, the idea regarding poverty must have changed to some extent. Poverty is always not due to lack of money, food, shelter, capabilities, or any objective factors. Poverty may be sometimes a choice. Poverty may be an attitudinal fallacy or a behavioral failure, maybe of the poor itself or of those who are pretending to end poverty. So, defining the poor and poverty should not be generalized. We should change our views towards defining poverty and eradicating poverty. Some changes can only be brought if we accept changes. We need to understand what really the poverty wants to be cured. Poverty should be stopped as a source of earning, income, and livelihood. Apart from all apprehensions and comprehensions, poverty can be eradicated only when we stop politicizing it and start imparting quality education. I emphasize not only education but quality education. Moreover, ending poverty is an individual attribution where the poor need to make a choice between dying in poverty and fighting against poverty to end it. So now, again, it's time to say and justify. If you are born poor, it's not your mistake, but if you die poor, it's your mistake. The poor are required to bring and to initiate a revolution to end poverty. Here, I would like to add, if you have also experienced such causes of poverty and think poverty beyond the stereotype boundaries and also want to know more about such experimented and experienced reasons of why poor are poor and think this can add one step towards ending poverty, then please take a journey of the book Poverty by Chance or by Choice, written by Dr. Antarjita Naik and Dr. Ramakrishna Biswal. The book argues that so many anti poverty policies have failed over the years because of an inadequate understanding of poverty. The battle against poverty can be won, but it requires careful reflection and a willingness to learn from evidence. Thank you all.